welcome back to the channel. I'm Callie and today I am going to be discussing some of my most highly anticipated books for March. So actually this year there is not a lot. There's actually a fair amount of sequels that are coming out in March that I'm really excited for, and only like 1 or 2 books that are coming out that are brand new. But nonetheless, I'm going to go through all of them, and I will have the publication date down here at the bottom. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first date for March is March 2nd. And I only have 1 book that I'm excited for that's coming out that day, and that is Red Tigress by Amelie Zhao. This is the sequel to Blood Heir, which I will be getting to really soon, but I have already pre-ordered this because a few reasons. One, I started following this author on TikTok and she's hysterical, and I have a feeling I'm gonna love whatever she writes. And these covers, I've been getting the UK covers and they're gorgeous and I love them. So I'm really excited. This series follows, I believe it's almost like a Goose Girl retelling. The girl has blood magic. She's been cast away from her kingdom. There's an enemies to lovers romance. And it's called Blood Heir and the princess has blood magic, and that's what originally made me interested in this series, so it's still making me interested in this series. The next date that I have is March 9th, and for this I have Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. I was originally drawn to this because of the cover. It's gorgeous, but then I read what this is about. And this is about, basically we follow 2 girls. One is a witch who has just basically done the most heinous witchy sin she could possibly do. So she's on the run. And then we follow another girl who is known as a source, which is a person people can pull magic from. She's basically made of pure magic, which is also rare. But the thing is even though she's made of this magic, she can't actually wield it. Only others can. And then we have those 2 like interesting characters and their places in life. And then this magical plague is going about this place, magical realm, I don't really know what to call it. And the girl who is the source, Ren, strikes a deal with our bad witch and to try and save the kingdom, or queendom. I think it says queendom. Either way, I'm pretty sure this is a sapphic love story about witches, and the magic source aspect of this very much intrigues me as to where this story is going to go, and it's a standalone, so very, very interested in this one. The next date that I have is March 16th. For that date, I have the book Namesake by Adrienne Young. This is the sequel to Fable, which I read a couple months ago, and I actually really enjoyed it. Fable follows a girl, basically her father, who is this like pirate king, dumped her on Thief's Island and said, make it back, then you can join my crew. So we follow Fable as she's trying to escape Thieves Island, and then trying to reclaim her title and what she feels she is owed. It was filled with twists and turns. The atmosphere was really cool, and I love a good pirate story. So this definitely delivered on that aspect. And with the way the first book ended, I think this is a duology. I'm just so intrigued as to where we're gonna follow Fable and her ragtag team next. The next date that I have is March 23rd. The book I have for this date is Flamefall by Rosaria Munda, which is the sequel to Fireborn, which I read last year and loved. Fireborn is a world, basically think post Mockingjay from the Hunger Games. The revolution has happened, it's ended, now we're in the rebuilding phase. And I found that to be an extremely intriguing angle, and I think it was done really well. So we follow these characters who are trying to basically, before the revolution, only the nobility were able to ride and tame dragons. But now that the revolution has happened, anyone is capable of being able to ride and tame a dragon. So we follow a couple of characters, each with their own secret past, per normal, and they try and tame these dragons. And the dragon relationships are top-notch. I loved the twists and turns that we got from this. I loved the political aspect, because when you have these books about revolutions like Red Queen and Hunger Games and Divergent and all of these kinds of post-apocalyptic revolutions, they never show you what happens after the revolution. And I loved that rebuilding aspect that this book showed. We didn't even see any of the revolution. I think this book takes place like 10 years post-revolution. And it's so well done. They're still rebuilding, which I think is extremely realistic. Granted, there's dragons, which is another great reason that this book was awesome. Dragons. So, highly recommend this, and I'm really excited to get to Flamefall. And the last date that I have is March 30th, and I've got 2 books coming out on this day. The first one being The Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to King of Scars, which is the Nikolai story from the Grishaverse. I'm really excited for this because Nikolai is probably one of my favorite characters in the Grishaverse. I think that his character arc is really interesting. I won't go too much into it because in order to read King of Scars, you at least have to read Shadow and Bone. You can maybe skip Six of Crows duology before getting to this one, but I would recommend reading it just to get a fuller picture of the entire world and the political system that Nikolai is trying to traverse in. But it's definitely intriguing, and I'm very concerned as to where the plot is going for this one. And the last one, which is probably my most anticipated release for March, is Bonecryer's Dawn by Kathryn Purdie, which is the sequel and finale to Bonecryer's Moon, which came out last year. I loved this book. I think this book ended up making it on my top 20 list. It was so well done. We follow 2 main characters. One is a bone crier, and in order to become a full-fledged bone crier, which is basically a shepherd of the dead, they have to summon and murder their soulmate in cold blood. So when our bone crier goes to summon her soulmate is hunting bone criers because he watched his father get murdered by one. So naturally, when he shows up and sees her, he tries to kill her, he ends up kidnapping her, and there's this whole thing. And it's so good. It is one of the best enemies to lovers romances I have ever read, and I love it with such a passion. And the fact that we have our 2 main female characters on the cover of this book intrigues me greatly, because both the female characters were vastly different types of female characters, but equally as strong and well written, and I love them to death. And I'm just so excited for this book to come out. It's not even funny. And those are actually the only books that I have for the month of March. Like I said, there's not a ton. Let me know what books you're looking forward to. I'm realizing as I'm filming this that only 1 book on this list was not a sequel, so I apologize for that. But not really, because if you've been on this channel long enough, you know I love I love series, and they just bring me joy. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited for March. Feel free to leave a comment down below on the book you're most anticipating coming out next month. And like and subscribe to our channel. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And I will see you guys in our next videos. Stay safe, stay reading, and wear a mask. Bye!